Now's not the time for riots, Baltimore. Calm your shit. Hello and welcome to another episode of Civil War in Hindsight. I'm Lieutenant Tommy. With me, as always, is Prospector Johnny. And Prospector, the shit just keeps.
Is the war over already?
Week. No, it's
the war's not over
over
yet. How is it not over?
It's not looking too good for us in the blue right now, to be honest.
What do you mean it's not looking too good for it? We're gonna stomp them. This is gonna be a joke. Do they even have an army? Other than all the people that they have set up and cannons and everything pointed at force.
Yeah,
other than those guys?
I was pretty sure they fired at us last week. Did you not get that memo?
But is that an army or is that just a bunch of, dirty rebels with guns?
The week is going to open up on April 19th with Abraham Lincoln ordering a federal blockade of all Confederate states' ports. So basically, at this point in time, if you're shipping goods into the Confederacy or out of the Confederacy, not going to happen.
So it's like a siege, sort of.
Sort of. Yeah, it's a naval blockade. The intention here is to starve out the Confederacy of supplies and to ensure that foreign interests like England or France won't be able to ship over large amounts of ammunition, weapons, guns, that kind of stuff to them, just in case they would be willing to sell to them.
Surely they wouldn't sell weapons and ammunition to traitors of people who were traitors against them. That wouldn't why would they do that? What are they getting from that?
Yeah, we're already in talks with England about possibly needing some guns for our own army because 75,000 troops is a lot of troops to supply, and this beautiful gun above me, this 1855 Springfield that we have, our most modern technology here, we've only made 58,000 of those, so
that's short of the number.
A little short of the 75,000 goal that we have.
So, are we just gonna ask people to bring their own weapons for this war?
We have stockpiles of older equipment, and
just going to give them a bunch of
Springfield Armory is ramping itself up. Yep. The far-flung Navy that we have currently right now across the entire globe is being recalled to participate in this siege. So it seems like the United States trade and foreign interests.
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck. We're bringing all the boats back to the border states to try to ensure that, or not the border states, but the coastline to try to ensure that this blockade is successful.
And that's why this isn't going to be a long war, Tommy, because now everybody's coming back.
All hands on decks, yeah.
We're going to talk to mommy and daddy in England and ask them for more guns, and then it's going to be short.
Yeah, maybe. Except for that there's riots going on in Baltimore, Johnny. So the reason why
Baltimore, Maryland,
Maryland, which is the central. Yeah, it's the central rail hub to entryway into Washington D.C. So
what are they mad about? What are they rioting?
Well, Maryland is a slave state, Johnny.
Okay.
And so there is a large percentage of the state that is not happy with the North and Lincoln's call for troops. And the riot kicks off.
They had their chance to secede.
And so far they have voted not to. But there's also, of course, a large population. The reason why they voted not to secede, because there's a large population that does support the North.
Sure.
It is right next to, Baltimore's really pretty close to Washington, D.C.
So they're kind of in that gray area where the southern state kind of transitions to the northern state mentality-wise. They're in that.
Yes, exactly. There's large crowds from both sentiments, meeting in Baltimore and saying the most peaceful things to each other.
Yeah, so it's not just protest with people out and then one protest gets out of hand. It's competing.
It's two groups
protests on
competing
different
groups
sides.
And the big issue comes when the 6th Massachusetts Infantry, which is scheduled to pass through Baltimore on April 19th, comes through Baltimore by rail on April 19th.
So now we have two angry mobs and our troops passing through them.
The problem here with those troops coming through Baltimore is that they actually have to disembark their train and manually tow it to the next station once they get into Baltimore. Just like we had with Lincoln when he had to sneak through the city. There's sound ordinances. There are rail issues. There are different gauges that are going on. So you have to change from one train station to the next. You have to disembark and manually move that train to the next train station.
And which way? And in what way do they manually move these trains? Is this horses pulling trains? What are they
doing? Horses pulling, or perhaps a couple of companies of infantry pushing it, because as the horses are trying to pull this train through, the crowd is getting very, very hostile.
And so they're trying to, okay, let's go a little bit quicker, everybody, because I'm guessing these kind citizens of Boston weren't throwing rocks and stuff at Baltimore. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Weren't throwing rocks and stuff at the troops.
There are pro-secessionists waving secessionist flags, hurling insults at the soldiers, and throwing rocks
and other things, also.
And other things at those soldiers. Now, we don't know who fired first, but at some point, shots are fired from basically all parties: pro-union, pro-union civilians, anti-union civilians, and the soldiers themselves.
So somebody basically cuts the tension by firing, and everybody else was like, "Okay, it's time, let's go," and just start shooting.
And just start shooting. We're not entirely sure of how many casualties there were, but when the smoke does clear, there are at least 4 soldiers and 9 civilians that are laying dead. Major George W. Brown of Baltimore was furious, saying that he was given no advanced warning of soldiers coming, and if he had been given notice, he could have put the police on notice to come up with some kind of protection plan.
Right, to prevent the crowds from going to the train, like basically diverting them and doing crowd control and things that police are...
Because as we all know, armed police are just as capable of calming down a situation as armed military personnel are. So.
Well, the nice thing about police versus military is that police are trained in de-escalation procedures that they use extensively and are masters at, and so there's never a situation where they're not able to de-escalate and they just make things worse by, like, I don't know, like start shooting or firing things into the crowd or like charging people down, whatever. Like, that doesn't happen exactly. Because of their de-escalation, which is why you want the police and not the military, right?
Yes. And so when Baltimore is now rioting, it effectively isolates Washington, D.C.'s, at least its main rail hub, into the city. So so now D.C. is getting kind of cut off from the north. On April.
So now they're also being kind of sieged.
Kind of sieged in and of itself, yeah. On April 20th, riots continue in Baltimore while Lincoln meets with General Scott to see, hey, ideas?
Can we make this not the way it is? Yeah.
The 4th Massachusetts Infantry would reinforce Fort Monroe in Virginia to prevent it from falling into rebel hands. It is one of the only forts that the state troops of Virginia have not seized as of yet.
It's our last bastion of hope.
Southern merchants will now make it known to New York and all the northern merchants that they will no longer pay any of their debts so long as there is a war between North and South.
Oh, come on. They're just being greedy. They just don't want to pay. Like, you guys are, well, we're not paying anything then until you figure this out, because don't want to. What are you going to do? Go to war with us?
What are you going to do? Send your debt collectors down in the middle of the war.
Come at us.
A Colonel Robert E. Lee is going to resign his position in these United States military today, essentially saying that he could no longer take place as being a part of the Union Army as long as they were fighting against his home state.
He was he was up there in the ranks, right? He was
a colonel. He was an up and comer. He'd been in the military for 20 plus years.
I've heard
General Scott liked him. Yeah. General Scott liked him. I mean, we're small.
And so what's he? So he's just retiring, though.
He's just retired. He says he will not take up the sword against his own home state, and he will only take up the sword again if it's in defense of his own home state. So he said, as long as nobody's actively fighting Virginia, he's retiring. As long as nobody's actively fighting Virginia, he won't participate in anything.
Yeah, but with the caveat that basically step on my property and I'm gonna come at you.
Yeah,
that's what's that'll get him back in the game or whatever.
Yeah. He also has said that he does not believe in secession. He thinks that it was unconstitutional, but
so he's in a tough spot.
So what is he going to do?
I mean, that sucks. Sorry, Robert E. Lee. Like, I hope you just retire happily and live a nice long life.
Fade off into obscurity. That's what I'm hoping for. On the night of the 20th, the U.S. Navy would... It's a dream. On the night of the 20th, the U.S. Navy is going to abandon the federal Gasport Navy Yard in Norfolk, Virginia. They would take what they could with them and then burn whatever else was left, including 5 Navy vessels that they burned up to the waterline. So, not
so they
didn't
get taken possession, yeah.
Or if they would get taken possession, it's going to take... I mean, you can't just get onto the boat and sail off. It's now been burned up to the waterline, so
yeah,
it's still floating, but there's nothing there.
Nothing to.
There's nothing up on top.
It's scrap, essentially now.
It's scrap at this point. Yeah,
can't do anything with that.
And former Vice President on the 20th, Breckinridge, he's going to formally state that Lincoln's call for troops is unconstitutional. I'm not a constitutional lawyer, Breckinridge, but it's not unconstitutional.
I mean,
he specifically asked for the most he could without congressional approval.
Yeah, I thought the number that he asked for was very specific for a reason, and that was to make it so it wasn't illegal. So he's just mad in trying to start controversy to people who aren't going to pay attention. It's just fake news.
Fake news. On the 21st, Washington is still isolated with the riots going on in Baltimore, but the rest of the North, there are parades celebrating this war. They're thinking it's going to be over quick.
Of course it's going to be over quick. Of course
it's going to be. There's a massive influx of volunteers of troops across these great nations, Indiana, Illinois, New York, Massachusetts. They're already assembling their armies, sending out troops. Troops have already arrived. Yeah, troops are already arriving in Washington from I don't. Well, I mean, sign me up for it because I guess I'm already.
You got this, man. It's gonna be cake.
Maybe.
So basically, the North is excited to do this. Like they're like, all right, well, let's take it to these traders, and we're gonna.
But so is the South. There's a massive army that's now assembling in Virginia of the same volunteers going, we're seceding, yay! So
worrisome.
So this is worrisome. Although what is not worrisome is in Western Virginia, in a Monongalia County, there are citizens that are passing a resolution against secession, saying nope. So at least one county in Western Virginia is saying. No, we don't believe in secession. We are not seceding, so we didn't secede. Or maybe that they're seceding from the seceded state. So perhaps.
So they're taking. They're taking it basically.
They're taking this Western county in Virginia.
A state's seceding from a country. Within that state, a county is seceding from the state to rejoin the country, or just refusing to secede. And so there's just
refusing to secede. Yeah. Yeah, that's but maybe this is confusing. So maybe this county will form its own state. Maybe we'll call it West Virginia in the future. I don't know, but we'll go from there.
What a stupid name! Pick a new name for your state. What? They're not going to do that. I don't know. There's no way. This is why they don't let you name states, Lieutenant.
Yeah. Well, at least we have evidence that even in the South, even in places like Virginia where slavery's got its roots deep. There are people saying that secession is wrong and we shouldn't be doing it. Entire counties inside seceded states, they're saying no, we're not seceding. On the 22nd,
people who are loyal to these United States of America are saying, guys, just because we that's what a democracy is, sometimes disagreeing.
Yeah,
vote. That's what they're saying. Well, the people who can vote, obviously.
The people who can, me and you.
Yeah.
White landowners. On the 22nd, Governor H.M. Rector of Arkansas will deny Lincoln's call for troops, saying that the troops were, and I quote, to be used to subjugate the southern states. Which, I mean, by subjugate, do you mean stop them from shooting at us?
Yeah, we would like that to happen, and maybe don't secede from the Union, and you won't have people coming at. Like, what do they expect?
And Confederate President is going to tell Virginia Governor Letcher to move troops to secure and I quote, sustain Baltimore if practical. So now we have the Confederate President, Jefferson Davis, saying
to start taking
the Virginia governor, go to the north, go to a state that has not yet seceded, and take Baltimore, that city, take it. So it seems like they're being
why is the South so aggressive?
I don't know. They fired at us. They fired at our forts. They've seized our territory. Now they're actively going into a state that hasn't seceded and attempting to take territory, not military territory.
So
just the city.
So not only are they've seceded, they're trying to now take over more. Like this
take over more and take over civilian areas, not military installations, actual civilian cities. Lincoln would speak to a Baltimore peace seeker, saying that, and I quote, "You express great horror of bloodshed, and yet you would not lay a straw in the way of those who are organizing in Virginia and elsewhere to capture the city." He's saying you're coming to me, talking about peace, talking about wanting me to back down with my call of troops, but you've done nothing in regards to the people in Virginia and the Confederacy that's saying we're coming to get you.
Yeah, so basically they're saying, oh, well, no, we don't want to fight anybody, so we're just going to let all of the people that do want to fight somebody and take over, just going to let them roll over the city and take it? Because you don't want to protect it or fight for it?
During this meeting, Lincoln is again going to reiterate that he has no intention of invading the South, but he will defend the capital so long as the, and I quote, rowdies are kept in Baltimore, there will be no bloodshed. Essentially saying, keep the rioting to Baltimore right now. There's not going to be any bloodshed. We'll try to calm it down as best we can, but I'm not going into the South. I'm not going into Virginia to actively wage war yet. Although, come on, Lincoln.
I mean,
75,000 troops to suppress a rebellion. How are you going to suppress a rebellion if you don't take those 75,000 troops and move down to Virginia?
This is just his political BS.
I think this is Lincoln.
This is Lincoln being he's saying the things that he thinks he has to say. That's all this is. He knows
as much as
he's going to go and take that back.
I'm wearing blue. I'm obviously supporting this union, but come on, Lincoln. We're not there for show.
You can support the union without supporting their BS. We know when they're lying to us. It's the government.
And and Colonel Robert E. Lee, Johnny, we just talked about him a couple days ago when he resigned. Yeah, he just got nominated and confirmed by the governor and the state convention of Virginia. He is now the commander of all troops in Virginia.
But
so much for sitting this one out. Now I hope you have a heart attack, you 80-year-old man.
He's a double traitor. What? He's a traitor and a liar. And then
he's a traitor and a liar.
Because he's resigning, then he's lying about it, and then he's joining up with the traitors.
Yep, he sure is. He just joined the
traitors.
F you,
Robert E. Lee. Who are you?
On the 23rd, Arkansas state troops are going to seize Fort Smith. So again, another state that hasn't seceded yet, taking federal property because...
Are they prepping to...
I think they're prepping to secede. I'm pretty sure Arkansas is not going to stay with the Union much longer.
But to be fair to Arkansas, how could they at this point with... they're
in the deep South.
They can either decide to join up or they can be taken over immediately by all the Confederate states surrounding them.
Texas and
it's no, we'll fight with you. No, we're cool. It's fine. We'll do this with you. We don't burn our cities and kill us.
Governor Claiborne Jackson of Missouri, and I remember Missouri so far has said we're neutral, we're not seceding. Governor Claiborne Jackson of Missouri is going to receive envoys from the Confederacy who are going to talk to him about assisting him, or the state of Missouri, in seizing the federal arsenal at St. Louis if he so chooses. The Confederates going there and saying, hey, we could really use those 10,000 muskets that they have at that arsenal.
So they're recruiting
so we're going to take it.
I'm sorry, did you say mayor?
The governor of the state.
They're recruiting
going to the governor
saying,
"Hey, we're going to take that arsenal if you let us. If you let us, we'll help you take that arsenal." Is what he's trying to say. But again, as of right now, Missouri's saying we're not. We're going to keep out of that.
They're part of the union, and so they're part of the union, but they're still allowing these
Confederates to go. Yeah, the governor. I'm suspect.
They're allowing them into their city to.
Yeah, I'm still suspect of this governor for even talking to them because I wouldn't. Dirty rebels. But, here we are. The 24th would see more troops amassing in Washington, D.C., and the Confederate troops in Virginia are also amassing. We now have the 7th New York Infantry that's going to arrive in Washington, D.C. on the evening of the 24th into the morning of the 25th. Lincoln, when he sees this new regiment, is considering preventing Maryland from forming. There's talks of them forming another convention to have this whole secession talk again. Lincoln briefly thinks about taking these troops. Yeah, Lincoln briefly thinks about taking these troops and going to this, going to the capital, where the convention is going to be held, and saying, "You're not going to do that." But then he thinks better of it. He says, "Look. That's kind of a dictator move to do. I'm not going to do it. It's not within my power."
In a democracy, you allow a vote.
You allow a vote. So
even if it's a vote for being a traitor.
Even if it's a vote for being a traitor, we'll allow them to vote. Stephen A. Douglas, who was a running mate against Lincoln in this last election, he's going to formally support Lincoln and say that the restoration of the Union is the utmost importance. He is, by all means, accepted into having 75,000 troops. We've got to stop this whole Confederate notion thing from a Democrat.
That's democracy. This is country over party, basically, is what he's saying.
Country over party. Yep. And Johnny, this week is going to end, finally, this long episode, bear with us here, but the week's going to end with Captain James H. Stokes of Chicago, Illinois, secretly taking a steamer and landing it in St. Louis Arsenal's docks. He then goes into the arsenal with his troops, secretly, and seizes all 10,000 muskets that are in the arsenal, puts them on the steamer, and starts heading back up to Chicago to arm his regiments up in Illinois. So... So way to go,
Confederate! No, you're not going to take this. Oh my god!
So under the nose of the pro-secessionists who are amassing to attack the arsenal and seize it, he's like, nope, gonna get there first. And he gets there first, takes 10,000 muskets, puts them on a steamer, and starts heading back up north. So we'll see how that pans out next week for him.
No, that's why it's going to be a short war, because this guy, we're one step ahead of the Confederacy.
That's it for this week in Civil War in Hindsight. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy this, check out Historic Hindsight, where we talk about movie reviews from movies like Glory all the way up to random war on drugs.